Morning. I'm doing everything in a backwards order this morning, but I just my previous rant somehow brought up this subject in my mind, and I felt that now I have to do a rant about what to do in Syria. First, a couple of short notes. I hear that the Mosul Dam is about to collapse. It can break at any moment, and something like a million people are in immediate danger. And what has to say, I hope somebody's doing something. Then I hear that they've received a repeating signal from space. Was it radio? I can't remember. That hasn't happened again. A repeating. Interesting. Then in Punjab, I think last week they passed legislation to protect women of all sorts of horrid things. They say that it doesn't yet mean much, it's whether it's enforced, but still in Punjab of all regions, it certainly is a step in the right direction. I mean, we hope for the best. And then, of course, the news tell that in Canada, they have plans to experiment with universal basic income. Oh, Canada! Finally! And now, please, everybody else follow suit. Thank you. Merci. Way to go. Now, Syria. I don't know where to begin. Well, firstly, it ties with what I've ranted before. Now, what mankind seems to have forgotten altogether is to do the right thing. First, you do in anything what you do what is right, and after that, you deal with the consequences. Most of the time, if you start thinking of the consequences of doing what is right, actually the consequences can be so scary and so hurtful to you personally or your nation or whatever, that you end up not doing the right thing. And that seems to be the big trick. That how what dear Bernie Sanders would call the billionaire class has gotten the power they have, and how the world is run is with this fear. Every time you're told there's something, like with the obvious solution to the threat of terrorism in Europe, they say that you cannot bring back the Schengen. That you cannot outdo the Schengen agreement. You cannot bring back the border. That Europe is gonna make it's gonna have a deficit of 18 billion. 18 billion divided by among all the members of the European Union. I mean, they waste much more each country on stupidity and incompetence every year. And that's. But you say 18 billion and everybody goes, whoa, ho, 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 ho. They don't really understand the number, but they know it's a lot. And suddenly you have no borders and anything can. It is absolutely insane. But again, you stop all talk with scaring people. For example, most of the time it's always numbers. They always list billions and billions of euros, dollars, whatever, and that's how they scare you. Not even thinking about it. It's crazy. So this is the trick always. And again, if you do not then do the right thing, if you don't do the right thing once, then you have the cumulative effect. You cannot do right the next time, or the next, or the next, or the next, and you have a total disaster. And it might have been more intelligent to do the horrid, to yourself, with all the bad consequences, the right thing the very first time, and you might be better off, even though it, again, if you're being scared, and if you scare yourself, and it may seem impossible. So again, it is exactly like the refugee crisis that I've ranted before. It may seem very difficult to try and actually stop the refugee crisis. But if you stop the refugee crisis, then you cannot be blackmailed by Syria or Russia with the refugees. You don't have to arm Turkey. You don't have to bribe Turkey. It is quite insane that at the moment that you have assumed to be a complete dictatorship in NATO. I mean, that's absolutely insane. But go figure. Anyway, the one simple thing that should be done in Syria, and that should have been done 50 years ago, and force the US and Great Britain, most importantly, to do at least 50 years ago, and not just in the Middle East, but in Africa and South America and everywhere. The one quite simple thing that should be done, nobody's going to do it, but should be done, and it is the only answer, is to drop everything and get out. And that's it. Drop everything, get out. And again, there's the after effects. Firstly, of course, you have to have borders in Europe for security's sake. So that takes care of. Again, it's very interesting. I understood that this huge terrorist cell should be called the Qadich. That's the first Islamic cult, and that's what the Syrians actually call them, and other people in the area, and that pisses them off, really, and they couldn't care less if they're called Daesh. So and it is absolutely ridiculous to call them ISIS, which of course is a beautiful name of a goddess. And then you have in Australia, Nutella refuses to put that on their jar when they have a campaign. You can have your name. And a girl's name is Isis, and she wants that on her own Nutella jar, and it's inappropriate. When you first started calling this cult with this beautiful name, which is also very interestingly, I remember it's something, is it in Israel, the Atomic Commission or something is also, or originally also called ISIS, which is very funny when something called ISIS, or now it is funny when something called ISIS is reporting on nuclear safety. Very amusing. But still, I mean, how crazy is that you give a beautiful name, so to speak? I mean, it's a abbreviation of the English language, but why should? Anyway, you give this beautiful name instead of something that will piss them off every time when they hear it. I mean, and you say you want to fight it? I don't know. Okay, it doesn't make any sense. But again, it sounds absolutely incredible and insane and all sorts of stuff. You get out. You take care of your own borders so that you minimize any terrorist attacks, and you leave the people there. If I'm I don't know if the situation has changed, but at some point, no serious Arabic Islamic religious leader had even agreed to call the caliphate a cult, and that if the whole Islamic world would just call them a cult, they would lose like so much of their morale and support. I don't know if that still holds, but anyway, there's absolutely no question. It's a no-brainer that this insane death cult, which it's something like there was 5 before Al Qaeda and Daesh, that this insane death cult that has pretty much nothing to do with real Islam, or nothing, that it should be left to the Arabs and to Islam itself to take care of, like absolutely everything should have. Again, if you would have gotten out of the Middle East a long time ago, again, you would have been forced to look for other means of energy than oil. You still could have traded oil, but you wouldn't have there, and you wouldn't have allowed anybody to be there, any Western oil companies and so on. You could have concentrated after you get out. You make yourself as secure as possible. After that, you can start putting pressure on all these bastards who are selling guns. I mean, it's insane. Firstly, Guadish is not a country. So, but then if you start to put country, which is the worst country in the world, and there are really bad countries in the world. This is not a nice competition. Yes, probably something like North Korea would be first. There are some African countries that are doing really badly, but up there in the top 10, no questions asked, is Saudi Arabia. That the US is pouring money in and selling weapons and blah, blah, blah. And again, first you get out, you secure yourself, and then you can start again putting pressure, for example, to the United States, for example, to Great Britain, not to do arms trade with these madmen. So, first, if you've done the right thing, very difficult thing first, then you can keep on doing the right thing. But if you don't do the right thing first, you're in what they keep on calling the quagmire. And that did remind me of a short story. I can't. Where is it? Because it was absolutely hilarious. If I can find it, because that reminded me that the French president had actually, in pretty much all quiet, had awarded, François Hollande has in all quiet awarded the Saudi Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Nayef, the Legion d'Honneur, for fighting terrorism and extremism. And again, this has to be. Are you kidding me? I mean, perhaps Monsieur Hollande would like to next award the lifetime Legion d'Honneur posthumously to Joseph Stalin for just governance and lack of megalomania and sociopathy.